We're out of time.
I got 7 seconds.
7 seconds.
Apple says it's 6.
Okay.
We can get the final. Okay. Allie? Yep.
Use the mic.
Yeah.
This mic right here, you mean.
Are you getting the final number? You can go here and I'll get the. Good evening. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. I'm Rob Caves with Becker. The board has asked me to be here tonight to proctor the meeting. So the first order of business is we're going to confirm the final count. We know we have a quorum. Can you speak up? Yeah, I'm waiting to get the final numbers. Okay. Great. So we have 631 properties represented, which exceeds your minimum quorum requirement of 428. So that's good. We have a meeting. So we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Based on your past practice, I think you opened the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Is that correct?
Sir.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Okay. So I have a copy of the affidavit of mailing showing that proof of notice of the meeting was provided as required by Florida law and your bylaws. The next item on the agenda is the disposal of the unapproved minutes from the March 7th, 2024 annual meeting. A copy of the minutes were provided with the notice that was sent out to every owner with the second notice package. So in lieu of reading, I'll entertain a motion to waive reading and accept the minutes as written.
So moved.
John Elkins has moved. A second?
Second.
Second by Andrew. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? So we'll accept the minutes as written. They'll be kept in the official records of the association and are a record available to any owner who wishes to inspect them. The next item of business is the report of officers, and I have been informed there are a number of reports to be given. We'll start with Bill, the president, providing the president's report.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us tonight. There are a few things I'd like to go over with the community tonight. First, I would like to thank everyone that took the time to complete a proxy for our annual meeting. As I highlighted in my letter and emails, successfully concluding this meeting is an important step to start our infrastructure upgrade with Bluestream Fiber. During the new portion business of the meeting, we'll also entertain some Q&A. So we'll leave some time at the end so we can have some dialogue with myself and the other board members. I would like to spend a few minutes to go over the status of our efforts for Hayden Lane, talk about volunteering for committees and the existing board vacancies. On February 5th, Sandoval presented our petition to City Council requesting the City of Cape Coral assume ownership of Hayden Lane. At the end of the debate, City Council decided not to vote on the petition and asked the City Manager to work with Sandoval to develop a solution. Since the City Council meeting of the 5th, I have been working with volunteers in the community, Joe Kilrain, Joe Mazurkowitz, former mayor, and our attorneys to do additional research on the various development plats that were associated with Sandoval and the successor documents and to prepare for a follow-up meeting with the city manager. On February 21st, we met with the city manager and his key staff, and it was, in my opinion, a very positive meeting. I thought all parties were focused on coming up with a solution that was agreeable to everybody. and we all agreed to do more research on the various options that were available to the city and to Sandoval. Very shortly, one of the things that we agreed to is the city will be initiating a more detailed traffic study on Hayden Lane. So at some point, you will see the traffic engineering department with their equipment out there, not only looking at our gates, but all the entrances and egresses of Hayden Lane, so that we have more factual data as to how it's being used these days. We have agreed that we will meet again in about 3 to 4 weeks to review all the information we have jointly pulled together, and we'll discuss the options and how we're going to proceed. My personal goal is that by late April, we'll have completed the research and have worked out a recommended plan for moving forward for the board and the community to review. That is how, since we're in sort of a political, legal environment, that those dates are somewhat subject to change, but my goal is, from a priority perspective, is to keep pushing forward on this so that we can work with the city, come up what we think makes a good solution, and then present it to our respective organizations for discussion. And like I said, at the when we get to new business, we can have more questions on this. Changing topics, we need to keep our community thriving. Committee volunteers are the heartbeat of our association. Committees help us to maintain our standards, oversee our finances, plan for the safety of our community, and oversee the investment and care of our common amenities. And they also focus on the well-being of our lakes. The time and effort of our committee volunteers keep the neighborhood running smoothly and strengthen our social fabric. Volunteering a committee is a great way to shape our neighborhood, connect with neighbors, and to keep our dues low. Have a skill or some time to spare, please consider volunteering for one of the committees. We have a number of committees. We sent out an email about the committees that were looking for memberships. One committee that got left off of that email was the amenities committees. They look at all the common amenities. Right now, they're looking at how we need to potentially expand the pickleball facilities, how we would deal with other activities. Safety and security is looking at the longer term plans for the community. Finance obviously keeps tabs on how the money is spent and is very important with the budget every year, especially in the next 3 to 5 years as we start approaching some major expenses for road resurfacing. The social committee is very much involved with activities around the day-to-day functions of the community. I think they've worked very hard to try to have a very diverse set of activities going on. So I think it's very important. So that's one of our important committees. The Lakes Committee. The lakes are a vital part of our infrastructure. They are important for draining off the excess water, stormwater from the community, and are used as part of the irrigation for the community. So it's important that we have an ongoing evaluation of the health of the lakes and how they need to be repaired from erosion. So those are just some of the committees that we work on, and I think it's very important if you got some time, please consider donating your time and skills and opinions to a committee. Last item I'd like to discuss is that we have 2 vacancies on the board as of this meeting. In our governing documents, it is now the responsibility of the board to fill those vacancies. At next week's organizational meeting, the board will set the process for filling the remaining vacancies with a goal to have those vacancies filled at the end of the March board meeting. Why would you consider nominating yourself for a board membership? Being part of the Sandoval board is worth considering because it gives you a direct say in shaping Sandoval's future. As a board member, you influence decisions on budgets, maintenance, and rules, ensuring that they align with the residents' values, like keeping property values strong in a competitive state like Florida. Under Florida law, boards wield real responsibility, so your involvement can have a direct impact on Sandoval. Plus, it's a way to build leadership skills for your own personal development and connect with your neighbors. Let me just end by addressing a key question. Why would someone join an HOA board with all the negativity that sometimes occurs? Joining the Sandoval board can indeed come with its share of challenges, but in my opinion, the potential rewards make it worthwhile. For one, it's an opportunity to address and fix issues within the community, whether it's enforcing rules fairly, tackling neglected maintenance, or managing spending that affects everyone's finances. By joining the board, you become part of the solution rather than just a bystander to the complaints. While you may face complaints, sometimes loud ones, many people join the board to channel that energy into progress rather than absorbing it. For those who are naturally inclined to lead or solve problems, the noise is just part of the job, and the impact you can make, to me, makes it all worthwhile. So please consider nominating yourself once we have set the process for fulfilling the vacancies. Thank you for your time this evening. All right, Dave?
Hi, everybody. I was asked to give a quick update on landscaping and some financial numbers. So I'm going to start with the landscaping. In 2024, we began the restoration process of the common areas. And in that year, we concentrated on privacy, where plants and trees were knocked down around residents' houses. We started there to replenish the damage. This year, we're going to start working on additional restoration, and we're going to concentrate on the pool area, the the islands up at a four-way stop right here, and then we're going to fill in bare spots that we haven't gotten to yet. So that's the plan. The landscape committee has begun looking at it, and we'll proceed from there. For the financials, what I did is the financial books are not closed, but I have access to the income statement. So I ran February's, and just to give everybody a quick update, we have operating income through February of $883,307. The budget amount was $895,717. And then for the operating expense, the actual expense was 225, 278. And I'm sorry, that's wrong number. The actual number is $658,028, and the budget amount was $929,580. So right now it looks like we're doing pretty well from a financial standpoint. There is one thing. We still haven't completed the transition from associate. We're missing information. We're working on it, but that's why I don't have final numbers for January or February yet. Once we get that straightened out, then we can start moving everything forward. And that's all I have, unless anybody has questions.
Can I ask you a question, please?
Yes.
As far as the landscaping committee, who do I contact? Because I know that, some of you, okay, okay. I'm at 2461 Anguilla, which backs up into the soccer field.
Yes.
Last year, they had, come in, the crew that works, for landscaping. They had come in and pretty much macheted all of the plants back there by the fence, and I have my neighbors and I have no privacy whatsoever, none. So I was told that would be corrected, but I mean, this summer it would be corrected. I realize the summer's not here yet, but I wonder if that's still true.
To be honest with you, I'd have to take a look at it. I don't know. I don't know who was back there, because I don't believe our landscape committee or the landscape contractor, because are you backed up to like what they call a preserve?
Yeah.
I don't believe that the landscape
Well,
company did that.
That's the whole thing. So I watched them. I was out there and I told them, no, don't. Since they don't speak English, they just went ahead and did it anyway.
I will get your name and I will meet with you next week and we can look at it and we'll get a result.
Great. I appreciate that. Because
Okay.
I think Lynn
Yes,
was on the landscaping committee and now she's off.
yes.
And she said, I'll make sure that this gets done for you. She came out and looked at it. She's, I see what you're talking about. She's, I'll make sure, and it was supposed to be on the roster, whatever it is. And now that she's off, I don't know if it's still on the roster.
It, if she said it is, I'll take a look at it and we'll take care of it.
I appreciate that. Thank
Okay. Anybody?
My turn.
Get out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's better. Good evening, everybody. If you don't know, I'm the general manager, Chuck Keel. The board president has asked me to talk a little bit about safety and security this evening and give a quick update on some of the things that have been taking place. And I'll do that at this time. In January, our office was made aware that there was solicitors walking through the community attempting to sell everybody solar. These people were invited by a resident and then took it upon themselves to continue walking through the neighborhood, knocking on doors. We approached these gentlemen and politely told them to leave, at which time they gave us some reason that they shouldn't. And we called the police, and the police came, and all four of them were trespassed from the property. It's because of residents reaching out to us and letting us know that this was taking place that we were able to do this. So I encourage owners, when they see these things Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, to call the office and let us know that this is happening. This is not, solicitors are not, the gates were closed. They were invited in. They don't get to stay. So that was in January. In February, again, a resident let us know that there was juveniles that were cutting a hole in the fence on our eastern perimeter fence and also our western perimeter fence. Our maintenance staff took it upon themselves to temporarily repair that fence, and at which time we installed a camera. Within a week or so, the same individuals came back and cut another hole in the fence. This time we had video. We presented to the Cape Coral Police Department. The individuals were identified by the police department, and they are going to be trespassed, and charges were raised against them. They are not residents of Sandoval. Also in February, I received a letter from the president of Cape Royal community just adjacent to us, outlining some of the challenges that they have with juveniles coming through the fence and their interactions with their owners. I decided to host a meeting here at the Pelican Building with Cape Coral PD, who is our representative here, Lee County Sheriff Department, who is responsible for keeping an eye on Cape Royal, our staff, a couple of board members from Cape Royal, as well as a couple of members from Sandoval. It was at that time that the enlightening took place that we have the same challenges that they do. At first, they thought all of these kids were coming from Sandoval. As it turns out, we were able to prove that they're not Sandoval kids. They're not Cape Royal kids. They are using Sandoval and Cape Royal as a pass through so they can go from one side of the city to the other side of the city. We're hosting another meeting in April at Cape Royal. The same group will be there, the police, the Lee County Sheriff's Department, and we're going to continue to work together, both communities, to see what we can do jointly in working with the police to make sure that this behavior is ended. This is a challenge because they are juveniles. And as a personal note, I want to let everyone know that you should not engage with these juveniles. You see something, you say something. You call our office, or if you feel threatened, you immediately call the Cape Coral Police Department. They are responsible for Sandoval and our safety when it comes to that. We also have a security guard here who is here from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. You can also call that number as well, and they will actually intervene on their part. And what they will do is they're going to call the police, and they'll take it from there. So I just was asked to bring this up, let you know that this is not something we're ignoring. We continue to watch this, and even as of today, there are other incidents that we are currently investigating with the police department's help. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. So going back to the agenda, there are no other reports of officers or committees. There is no unfinished business from the last membership meeting. I will note, as you know, there is no election this year because there was not a contested election because you did not have enough candidates to fill all the vacancies. However, I believe Dave Ott did submit his intent to be a candidate, so he will be seated back to the board at the conclusion of this meeting to a 2-year term. The next item of the agenda is new business, and this is the time we will take, any owner comment, questions, concerns from the owner present before we adjourn. So I'll open it up to the floor. One in the back, Bill.
Yeah, some time ago. We had that building up front. And we were trying to figure out how to dispose of it. And we were supposed to have a workshop. But in the meantime, 10 days later, the property was sold. We were told that it would be for a single tenant, like a doctor's office or whatever. It doesn't appear that that's going to be the way. I mean, if there are going to be multiple businesses there, one of them even is a retail business, so I'd like to know what we're going to do about that.
I'll answer that one. The answer is Eric, nothing. Jack, we sold the title to that property free and clear. We have no claim on what development they have on that property. The only authority that has any claim on the commercial development of that parcel is the city of Cape Coral at this point. We have no authority or a legitimate right to do it. Unfortunately, we can't change what was done in 2022 when that property was sold. So it is what it is right now. And if you feel that they are not, if they're not following through on their development, their approved development plan, then we have to make a appeal to the city development board, but not quite sure what that would fall out. Any other questions from the community?
Is there anybody here from answer your Blue Stream question?
Yes, I can answer a Blue Stream question. Wait, hold on.
Hi, John DeDow. Several questions. So first of all, are the existing lines that are in the conduit of theirs remaining, or is Blue Stream using those?
Okay, so the first question is Blue Stream using the existing fiber and copper that CenturyLink has in the ground, or are they putting in new facilities? They are putting in completely new fiber all the way from the entrance to the community all the way into everyone's house. So they are not touching or using the CenturyLink facilities. That's owned by CenturyLink. And as a homeowner, you could choose to buy something on a retail basis from CenturyLink after we switch over to Blue Stream. So they had the right of easement to be there, so we have no reason to remove them at this point.
Okay, then are they putting in new conduit?
Yes, they're putting in new conduit. They're going to be doing what's called directional boring, so it's going to be going underground, and they'll be taking the fiber into each house location.
So are we remaining on CenturyLink for this them as a time consuming to do the whole development?
That's correct. That's why we wanted to. So the question is a time-consuming project, and yes, it is. So that's why it was important that we meet the threshold of having an official annual meeting, so that we could hold Blue Stream accountable to start construction no later than May 15th. And then from there, they'll put in the basic infrastructure, they'll install their equipment shed, and then they'll start a schedule to start wiring up each house and work on that plan, over the next 9 months or so.
Okay, so it is a period of time.
Yes.
Where there's just not available. Yeah, they're going, so they put in new pedestals also.
One of the things that was in the contract is they're putting in what's called an underground pedestal. So if you look in your yard, in front yard, you'll see like a flat plastic cover, and that's what they'll be doing. We put in the contract no above ground pedestals. The only thing that they'll have above ground is an equipment shed that'll be buried behind landscape near the Veterans Gate entrance. That's where all their equipment will be housed, as well as their backup generator.
Okay, and when it's got, who owns the fiber in the conduit?
You mean when the contract is done?
Yeah.
They still own it, because if we choose not to renew their contract, they still own the fiber, and 9 years from now, they could sell you services on a retail basis using the equipment and fiber that's in the ground. Okay. Yeah.
On the same subject, we're snowbirds.
Yeah.
And so this is all probably gonna take place while we're back in Indiana. How do they get into our place? And number two, our thermostat is set up so that I can control it from Indiana with my phone. How do I make that transition when I'm not here?
All right, so let me take a step back. So that's a reasonable question about for snowbirds, how are you going to participate in the transition? So what is going to happen is that in the December timeframe, we are going to have a town hall meeting with Bluestream, and that will also be broadcast over Zoom and YouTube. And there they will go into detail about the process. Essentially, each homeowner will have to make an appointment with Bluestream for the technician to come, because the technician needs to come into your house to complete the installation and put the equipment in place that's going to replace CenturyLink. So you have to be physically present. So if you come after the holidays, you would make your appointment for when you're here sometime after January to meet the technician and do the switchover at that point. We don't have any authority to go into your houses and do a switchover. There might be some people that are not here during the season or whatever. We may have a few stragglers we'll have to work through. But by and large, it's got to be done. You make an appointment, the technician will show up, and he or she will have to install the equipment, make sure Wi-Fi is working, and make sure that you can see Wi-Fi to all your devices.
Follow up in the meantime, will our internet stay connected with CenturyLink?
Yes.
Until that.
Yeah. So the question is, will our internet stay with CenturyLink until you cut over? The answer is yes. CenturyLink's contract does not officially end until April 25th, 2026. So if you choose to, they could come in, turn on your internet with Bluestream. You can say, you know what, I'm going to wait till April 25th to turn it back on, and you can still use CenturyLink until the end of April if you wanted to. But but they will be providing service up to that point. And in fact, we have provisions in our contract that if there's delays in getting the service cut over, Bluestream owes us money to keep paying CenturyLink to keep the internet up.
Bill, by your implication, that means there will be, by your implication, there will be an overlap in time frame in which Bluestream will fire up and CenturyLink will also still be active under their current contract?
That is correct, but there will not be a financial overlap because their billing for their services does not start until April 26, 2026.
Understood.
Are they gonna have to go into each condo too?
Yes. So you'll have to make an individual appointment because in addition to putting in the modem, then the Wi-Fi unit, they will install up to 2 pods that'll spread the Wi-Fi service to your house. So you'll have to be in there to sort of see where the best locations for those pods will be.
All wireless.
Pardon?
The internal wireless.
I can't hear you here.
The internal is wireless.
Correct. Correct. Right. It's all one.
Are they gonna wire through the attic?
It's gonna be different for each type of house. So I'll have, it's gonna, in each house is gonna have a slightly different wiring. What they're gonna try to do is utilize the existing conduit that already exists to bring internet into your house. Now, we may have to do some stuff on the outside of the condos. That's not clear until they can go in and examine the condition of the conduits that are in place to see if they can be used.
You might mention the increase in speed from, you might mention the increase in speed from, who was,
480 to 1 gig.
from whoever the first, provider was into CenturyLink, into the new CenturyLink contract that we have now. To that, it's 10, 20, 30 times more than it was originally.
Yes, yeah, I mean, so I don't remember what it was prior to CenturyLink, but I think the original CenturyLink contract was 200 meg. It got increased to 480. Well, they call it 500, but it's really 480. When we reached a settlement with them, when they canceled Prism service, 21. But we're going to be going right from that to a gig in over the course of 4 years. 1 gig is going to be migrated up to 2 gig. So we'll have quite a lot of internet coming in this community within 5 years.
Is there gonna be a Blue Stream meeting or what kind do questions and answers?
Yes, yes. So the question is it going to be a Blue Stream meeting? That will be in early December. Because they'll come in and they'll talk about their installation process. And they will also start taking appointments to start their installation.
I was really impressed with how they installed it too. I think
Sorry, I keep going back. Yes, Eric.
really clean. It was really good.
We reached a quorum, yes. You missed me saying thank you to everybody for reaching a quorum. Yes, it's an official meeting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Do we have questions for any of the other board members? We can talk about finances, lakes, amenities.
I don't want to sound like a complainer, but I'm sure the safety committee has been researching this. I have nothing against children and families. I think it's wonderful. I don't want to live in a 55 and older community, but are you guys doing anything about these kids with their bicycles and these electric bikes? I mean, it's dangerous the way they fly through. They don't stop at any of the stop signs. I witnessed the other day. I felt so bad for the woman in front of me. She almost hit a kid. He just flew right out of one of the side streets onto Sandoval. And I could see just from being behind her how shaken she was. She missed this kid by inches. And it wasn't her fault. It was the kid's fault. So are they looking into this at all? I don't know how they're going to rectify it. You can't tell kids you can't ride your bikes, but.
What we have tried to do, first of all, if I understand things correctly, it is up to the police to police the streets. We don't have the authority to do traffic enforcement even inside our gates at this point.
Well, I don't need that. I don't need that. When you stop them, we have security here. When you stop a kid, ain't he supposed to have his ID on? We all do, right?
Not every child who lives here has their own ID badge for whatever
Them
reason.
kids don't live here, I don't think. You know what I'm talking about. It's them kids that drive the bicycles all crazy.
Yeah.
Hopping wheelies behind these guys' cars. It's a big problem here
Yes.
with that.
So our hands are tied in terms of what kind of enforcement we can do against it.
Well, you have a gentleman here today. Why can't I have a cop here? You have a cop here now for an installation.
So if we wanted to hire the Kingsport Police Department to come in, we would be having to spend another 6 figures in expenses to cover all the expenses that they would charge us for coming into the community for that police effort.
So don't you know where these kids live? And, don't you know where they're from?
So going back to what Chuck said earlier, if you see someone, take a picture, take a video, we get it to the police. What the police are doing is they're working with the resource officers at the schools to identify the kids. And 2 of the trespassers yesterday got arrested by the police department.
I had a kid follow my bumper. Chris knows, the gentleman knows over here. He was right on my bumper, like within inches.
Yeah.
This is out of control here with these kids. They're not from here. And you know it, and I know. It's a bad situation with these gates unlocked. You're dealing with a lot of senior citizens here. And they shouldn't have to put up with that. You know it. Could be at the gates.
There was,
You pay HOA fees here.
Are you willing to pay higher ones, sir?
To be safe? Yeah.
Okay. You're a minority voice, unfortunately. I'm just saying that. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I would support it. I'm absolutely with you to support it. I'm absolutely with you to support it, but that is not what this community will stomach, unfortunately. Yes, I am.
Are you sure of that?
Absolutely. I'm on Facebook enough. I'm on Facebook enough to know that this community will not stomach it.
You're sure, and we want to feel safe here. I think they can't talk really behind my crowd. I'm just letting you know.
I understand that.
So,
I understand that. I understand that. I'm speaking resident to resident, not on the board anymore, not on the board after tonight. Resident to resident, our residents are unwilling to pay the cost that this is going to require.
maybe you should check out. Maybe you should ask him.
We can check it out. We have done an extensive survey process, and there's little appetite for the control mechanisms that need to be put in place.
I'm just telling you, it's dangerous.
That's fine. I agree with you. I don't disagree with you. Ultimately, I have 2 teenage kids, and the responsibility of them is myself. If they get injured, doing what these kids are doing, I don't know what to tell you. Okay. I'm sure you've had children too. So,
Yeah.
All right.
okay.
Okay, let's go. Wait.
Again, I agree.
The topic. Any other comments?
Getting hot and
Sure.
heavy at these guys is not not going to issue the results you're looking for.
Is there an age to ride those motorcycles, like bicycles, the electric bikes?
The electric bikes, I do not know. To answer your question on golf carts, yes, you have to be permitted. You have to have a learner's permit on the golf carts that ride around here.
Runs. Park. It's okay.
None of this is okay, sir. What would you like? The question is, what would you like us to do enforcement wise?
That's part of town.
You let it all out of control here. I'm fine.
okay.
All right.
Go on more.
As many of you know, we've had a big problem and it's not getting any less. The stop sign runners, they don't, well, through them.
Yes.
But I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the ones that go through at 40 miles an hour, heads down texting, that kind of stuff. I see it every day. What are we gonna do?
All right, so we are putting up the traffic, calming signs will be going up within the next 30 to 45 days. Last year, we had extensive discussion in the community about doing more active speed monitoring and violating. We got a resounding no from the community to do anything like that. In addition to that, Florida law makes an association taking on that kind of role a much more expensive activity because we have to hire a certified third party to administer that on our behalf. So it becomes a very bureaucratic process now with the changes that were put into Florida law. So, okay, so just one more thing. Our community is no different than any other streets in the city of Cape Coral where people aren't following stop signs. We're not unique in it.
I know most of them wouldn't speak up to the stop sign.
That's another thing that we got a resounding no from the community about, Eric. Yeah. All right, next topic.
I just have one comment, right by Sandoval, by Somerville here, the tree branch covers that sign constantly.
So the Safety and Security Committee has gone through and surveyed all the intersections and looking for obstructions like that. And they're meeting with the landscape committee to work on getting that taken care of. Yeah.
Flashing light there.
Yeah.
That is just an observation, is a stop sign that no one, that direction as well as those coming out of Somerville, making that right, nobody stops at that sign.
So. Okay, any other questions before we move on? Okay.
See none. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We are adjourned at 6:40.
Thank you.
The real quick, the organizational meeting will be Tuesday, the 11th.
At 6 p.m.